Hi guys, it's Carrie Short here with New Albany Realty with our local spotlight today. We're chatting with Ashley Lundberg with Surround Designs, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about their business. Hi Ashley, how are you?
Hi Carrie, great. How are you?
I'm good. I am just excited to be in summer and the swing of things, and it's a little nutty, right?
We are in the swing of it.
Yeah.
Like full blown.
And you've got little ones too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Three.
Yeah.
So balancing work, business, all that thing.
Yep.
All the things.
All the fun stuff.
So this particular business, the interior design company, you are a partner in this, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
One of the co-founders.
Yeah. How many partners are there?
There are three of us.
There are three. Okay.
Yep. We all live here in New Albany.
Okay.
And we love it here.
Is this your only location, or
This
do you
is
guys
our
have?
only location?
Okay.
Yes.
But you travel outside of New Albany.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we love our New Albany clients.
Sure.
It's so nice to be down the street rather than, trekking over to Dublin,
Mm-hmm.
but we do.
You do.
We do, and we love it over there as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, yeah, you certainly have plenty to choose from. I'm here. I'm
yes,
sure. So it's like you stay busy.
That's right.
Well, tell me a little bit. I know we chatted before we started filming that you went to Ohio State and started in interior design there. How did this all come about? Did you go to a different firm out of college? Did you start this right away? How did all that work for you?
Yeah. So actually, I personally, when I was interning my senior year of college, I interned at Abercrombie & Fitch.
Oh, yes.
In their visual department.
Okay.
So I loved the company, and it was such a great atmosphere for fresh out of college kids.
Of course.
And so I went there, and I was on the visual team and did all the store design for the first 10 years of my career. Which was amazing.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
that would have been like a dream.
It was great. I got to
right
use
out of college. Yeah.
my, creative side of interiors, but just doing it with clothes instead of furniture.
Yeah. Marrying probably two of your favorite things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So after being there for 10 years, I just had the itch to get back to interiors. It was my love. It was kind of the age of Pinterest and all HGTV and all the things that were coming up, and I would spend my free time in bed looking at interiors and watching shows, and it was just something that I knew I wanted to get back into. So I left A&F and actually started at a local shop here in New Albany. It was called Bungalow.
Ah, yes.
Back in the day.
I'm sure many of you remember Bungalow. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. And
it's pretty much right when I moved here.
Where Brewdog is now.
Yes.
The old barn. And just to start getting my feet wet back into furniture. After being there a while, I realized that it was something I wanted to do on my own. And I met my two partners there at Bungalow, and we just jived. We worked so well together. We all have our strengths, which are different, which is great because we all kind of can tap into what our strengths are. And we just kind of knew that we could do this on our own and utilize our different strengths to start a business.
Yes.
So we did.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2017.
Wow. Okay.
So I was on maternity leave with my twins, and while on maternity leave, kind of started doing the back end stuff. And then, we launched in October of 2017.
Wow.
Working out of coffee shops and our dining rooms. And
how long have you guys actually had a storefront?
So we got the storefront in 2019.
Okay.
Had to do renovations. So it was just a shell. There were no drywall up, anything. So we had to build the whole shop, and started as a showroom just specifically. And then about in April of this year, we decided to also turn it into a little shop.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So now people can come in.
Okay. So the shop piece of it is a newer
It is.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just started
I felt like maybe I was sort of behind on that, but I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, I had no idea that they actually sold things in the store.
Yeah. We always had merchandise, accessories here that we would bring to clients' house. Because, everyone loves, no one can style a shelf for some reason.
It's really hard. And you start making it too symmetrical a lot of times. That's what I would end up doing. And I'm like, this is just like a ladder. I don't like doing the same thing over and over.
It is a struggle for a lot of people. So we always had that stuff here, and we would bring it to our client's house and do that for them and style a coffee table and style their sideboards, and with those little pieces we could have here.
Okay.
And we just realized there was a need, and everyone like loved that. And we're like, well, if we got the stuff here, let's just put it downstairs, and
somebody could pop in and grab something, and maybe that leads to a bigger situation or a project.
Exactly.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's been quite the whirlwind. Do you feel like coming out of college, you were totally prepared in the first stint of your career with Abercrombie? Was it you were prepared for this like small business startup? 100%. I mean, it's a lot.
It is. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He had businesses. So I kind of grew up, he would like, from a young age, he'd be like, let's look at a P&L,
Seriously. Wow. That's so incredible.
So I kind of had that in me from a very young age, and knew that it was something that I loved, and having that control with something you're passionate about, and flexibility, especially after being in corporate retail.
Yeah. And taking the risk too. I think a lot of people don't want to take the risk.
Yeah. So shout out to my husband for that, because he held down the corporate job while I could do that, which was amazing. But
that's awesome. Yeah. I'm always curious about entrepreneur stories, because I similarly, my dad was an entrepreneur as well. Nothing similar to what I do, but it kind of gives you that, I guess, confidence to know like it can be done, but it's not always going to be easy. But if you have, the motivation, you can certainly do it. So, and I love our little community here. I say little because at the end of the day, we are very small.
Yep.
And I love the idea of sitting down and chatting with you, because word of mouth is so like important in our community. And I've had so many people refer me to you as I'm like building a house, and I know folks that have used you. And I mean, I just feel like New Albany really is built on small businesses as well. I mean, we have a lot of retail down the road, and Les, gave us this, right? Like he created this, but then in the community, it's a lot of small business, and we like to support each other.
It's amazing, this community, and how much support they have given us. And honestly, referrals are our number one way of getting clients, which is amazing, because like you're doing someone's home that's so personal, like so intimate, and the fact that people love it so much that they're giving our name out to their friends and family, that's our number one compliment, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and then your work shows for itself, right? You go and visit someone's house, you're like, oh, this is just so like an atmosphere, like it invokes a feeling and like a calmness. And I love that trends are going that way more. So that's kind of what I wanted to jump into with you, is like a little bit more, now that we've kind of got to know you, but a little more of like what's going on in the design world and what you're seeing and trends, and how your process starts. So we'll start there, actually. Okay. So like, say I'm a new client, your process would start, with, I would assume, a meeting, whether that be, virtual or one-on-one, and you just kind of figure out my style, or
okay. Yep. So we always start every project with a client intake form, we call it, and you can go onto our website. There's a little button you click, and just has a few quick questions just to kind of get you into our system, and us to know a little bit about your project.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter whether you know your style or not. That's where you guys come in. And even for somebody, maybe that's one thing that I've wondered, because I feel like I really do, for myself, know what I want to do, but it's the execution piece. So you guys are full service, obviously, but you can, work with what a client wants. Exactly. And you're not fitting into just a space of this is the aesthetic that you provide only, right?
Exactly.
Like if somebody's like, I want navy blues and greens in my house. You can do the colors.
It's a complete customizable experience. Everything's personalized to each client. Nothing's the same. No process, no exact rule book of what we follow. And the nice thing about what we do also is we always give options. So even in the first design, we'll say, here's option 1 for your room. Here's option 2. What do you like about those 2? And maybe it's a mix and match. And then we take that feedback and we do another round. So it really is working together through it to get the final product. Now we look at thousands of options.
Okay, right. And then you narrow it down.
And then we narrow it down, because
that's hard for people. It's overwhelming.
It is so overwhelming. And there's so much out there nowadays. You could look for a light forever just going through all the options. But what we really do is we do look at all those options and we know them. Like
Yeah.
we have such a strong understanding of what's out there right now, and we go to market and we see the latest stuff. So it's a lot easier for us to focus it down once we kind of understand the direction. And then we pick, we go through and pick a couple of the faves that we think work best. And that's what we present. Because you could show someone thousands, like I said, but we try to keep it narrowed to kind of help the process and not overwhelm anyone.
Well, and like I'm sure many of you get the RH catalogs. It's like those catalogs are this big now, and you sift through and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. And maybe it's just, okay, I really like the way this table looks. And then you guys, I assume, source from well more than like restoration.
Yes, we have hundreds of vendors, and each with, like I said, each with different budgets, each with different styles. So once we kind of like narrow all that down with clients, we kind of know a direction of where to go to, but we have hundreds.
Yeah. Okay. And would you say, are there any like let's just say top 3 style trends going on right now? Like,
it's funny. I was like looking into this a little bit, and we always obviously all talk about it. And I feel like the trend of 2025, which is kind of funny to say, is to not do trends, is to be personalized, and have it be what you want rather than follow these big trends. Now, obviously there are some like color drenching rooms where you paint everything is a big trend.
Are you seeing that mainly in like an office space or like
specialized
bathrooms,
spaces,
like smaller spaces typically? People don't usually color drench like a 2-story great room.
No, I would say defined rooms, anywhere that has defined start stops where you can really get the impact of it in the room. Now, we've definitely painted ceilings the same color as our walls, especially with white.
Right. Okay.
Every day, because if you have even a warm white and then you use the typical ceiling color, which is a brighter white, it makes your walls look yellow. So we will always paint ceilings the same color of our walls when using a white color.
Yeah. Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Because the whites, I know, they can just read so differently.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you think white is white, right?
It is not.
And then you get it in different light, whether that's, I always joke about some of the LED lights. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a fishbowl. It's like, it's like a bluish, puts off a different tone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Versus the warm lighting.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point.
We could go days I could talk about lighting for days.
Yeah. Because truly, I don't know about folks listening, but like for me, I feel like from a design trim perspective, like a lot of the lights in the nooks and crannies, whether it be under cabinet light or under countertop light or at the floor lighting in the bathroom underneath the sink, like those are, whether that be a trend or not, like just having that warmth and ambiance is so like, it just affects your mood and it makes the space feel a certain way.
Yes. Accent lighting and lighting in general, statement lighting too.
Yeah.
Can change a whole space. It's one of the first things I will tell people to do. Either A, switch out your fixtures, or B, just get your lighting the same like tone.
Yeah, because you could have mixed.
You'll have we'll walk in and your can lights will be, a 2700 Kelvin, and your fixtures will be 3000 Kelvin, and they clash, and it's just like, let's get everything the same.
Oh, okay.
And that's a big start. And then accent lighting, like it's so amazing to at night turn on your lamps or dim your chandelier, take the cans off, and just have that nice relaxed vibe. And then when you need the bright, and you can turn that on too, but having that option can make or break the feel of a space.
Well, and I think that's something that I know the average person like myself, although I love ambiance, but we just don't think about that as much. Everybody's thinking about what's their couch or their rug going to look like, but it's all these things when you hire a professional that can come in and genuinely pull that space together. Or if you're just redesigning, it might be as simple as lighting.
It could, yeah.
So I think that was going to be my next question for you, was like, what do you think is the most common misconception when people come to you as a design, as a client seeking a designer? Are they like, oh my gosh, this is going to cost me so much money, and I don't want you to do my whole house. I just want that, so what do you feel?
That is for sure the most, is that designers are so expensive.
Yeah.
Like, that's what everyone thinks, and it's so not true, because it could be, we do projects of all budget sizes, small to large, and it could be as simple as just changing out all your light fixtures. Like, we love lighting. We love doing lighting because lighting changes. It could be, a whole overall. It just kind of depends. It could be the scale of your furniture is wrong. We come in and you've got everything's too small for the space, and all you really need is like a bigger rug and maybe a bigger sofa. But you're buying the product anyways if you're doing it. So on that, with our design fee, which isn't that much, is not that different than if you were to go buy it yourself. And honestly, it saves you a lot of time and money with having to do potentially returns because it's not right, or living with something that you don't. And
you guys install, right?
We install.
So that's like a full service. I mean, even just especially from the lighting fixtures or whatever. You know, I know it's like me when I buy like just a piece of furniture, then begging my husband and a friend to carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like just the full service of just taking that off of your plate. So there is certainly a value to that. And just knowing that you can work within different budgets is helpful.
100%.
Because I do think, to your point, there is such a inflated sense of, I bring a designer on it, I have to have like 6 figures to do this. And it's not the case, especially if you do like your main rooms of like, maybe I just do my entryway in my living room where people are going to see it, and you expand on that.
Exactly. Like so many times we'll do, the spaces on the main floor that people will see, and then your kids' bedrooms in your basement can kind of be a mix if you don't want to. But it really just, people think that it's so much to have a designer, and it's really not, because like I said, you're buying the product anyways. So just an additional little fee to have someone pick it out, curate it for you, deliver it. We take care of getting it all here, shipping it, making sure there's no damages, inspecting it, storing it for you if you need a little bit of storage, then installing it.
So do you ever do projects where you'll just go in and they'll be like, okay, I want to keep my own furniture, but I want you to accessorize my space, so you can different variables?
Yeah, we used to.
Okay.
We don't a ton anymore, because we've learned that usually when we would do those, it still wasn't the outcome that clients were satisfied with.
So if you're doing a room, we
always
that
had to like, even if it's just getting a couple new pieces to tie in together what you have, that we do.
Yeah. So you're not coming in to just stylize a shelf or something. That's where your storefront comes in. Maybe you make suggestions, but it's not like you take that on as a client.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So just so you know, even if you just want to buy something for a shelf or what have you, you could come in.
And we have amazing store associates and the designers here who will help you. Yeah. So if you want to bring in a picture, of a shelf, we can help. We can certainly help pick stuff out for it. But as far as coming to your house and actually doing it is usually just for the design clients.
Yeah, so that's perfect. It's not like you're just going into a store that does everything and you're asking, an associate that just works there. I'm not going to name any names, but but these are designers that are going to actually know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
So. And it's so funny to me, just one of the big things I know I've struggled with, I'm sure a lot of you do, is rugs. You mentioned rugs. Just, oh my gosh, on a swatch it looks too busy, or it's what kind of loop, whatever you call it, looping do I want if I have pets, and really, where do I set my furniture? Do the front legs only go on? Do the whole thing, and like just how that balances a space. And I think it's just, there's conflicting information when you look at it. And maybe it's design specific, and that's where your expertise comes in, right?
There's no set rule. I mean, there's a couple set rules. Okay. Definitely your furniture should fit on the rug, at least the front, little bit of it. A little bit. Yes.
Okay.
But having the rug be the wrong size in a space can make it either feel too small, too big, unbalanced. So rug size is something that we take very seriously. Yes.
I see all of like the swatches and stuff, and they're like, So I mean, it's important. I've always just gone to like Home Goods and bought a cheap rug because I know my dog's gonna like do something.
Right.
So but having it work with the space is obviously very important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I would say, some of the things that I have noticed in like the hardware side of things, I am curious on your opinion on this as we kind of close things out. We've seen such a trend go more towards like the brass or the yellow colors now. Are you seeing that still stay? Or are you seeing people pivot back to the chromes and I don't know what the other is called, like a brushed.
Like there's polished, there's polished nickel, brushed nickel.
Yes.
Chrome, brass, bronze.
Yeah, and everybody was doing that darker, not black, but kind of black.
Like an oil rub bronze.
Yes, for a while. And so are you still seeing, and I know we talked about like, okay, we're not doing really trendy right now, but I do think like, especially with hardware and plumbing fixtures and stuff, I've seen a big move to more of the brass stuff.
Absolutely.
Not the old shiny brass that like my parents had in my house.
Good, like burnished brass, like that you can almost like feel has, a soul to it.
Yes.
Like it's not just that shiny, cheap stuff. 100%. That's still
a thing.
Still a thing.
Good.
What I will say that a lot of people struggle with is your house doesn't have to be all the same.
So that's good to know, because I thought you did.
Because now, like in a space, I wouldn't mix necessarily like a chrome with a brass, but maybe a matte black and a brass, or your faucet can be one thing and your lights can be another. So it doesn't have to be the same.
I've seen a lot of the matte black and brass.
Yes.
Like that seems to complement. So, okay.
But again, a lot of people who try to do this themselves, it doesn't always work because they just start picking things. There is a method to it when you mix, but
and then if you go with like a brass, I feel like there are a million different finishes and tones. Is it a big no-no to mix those, or is it just case by case?
Yeah, it's not a no-no, but we always say they have to coordinate. They don't have to match exactly, but they have to coordinate.
Sisters, not twins.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes,
I got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I've actually learned some things just in our chat, but just being able to that's probably a big piece of what you guys do in your meetings and conversations is educating people on, what works, what doesn't, so you can dive deeper into the conversations and really like hone in on their style specifically, I would think, because, it's educational.
It is. Lots of questions, lots of getting to know people, and it's so great because so many of our clients do become our friends.
Yeah.
Because we're with them and we are together in this journey and we get to know them, and we've been truly blessed with the best clients.
Well, you have to help them break in the space.
Yeah. We sometimes say we can also be therapists for marriages.
Yes.
There's lots of different opinions with husbands and wives, so we help kind of manage that too.
Gosh, I can relate. Being in real estate, that people don't always agree, especially if they're going through a new build, and they always say like, if you want to get a divorce, build a house together.
Yeah.
I'm sure designing a space is different, the same, I should say, but that's amazing. Well, I do think that you guys are such an asset here in New Albany, and having a storefront that people can come not only and just chat with you, get advice, become a client, and we have such a beautiful community, beautiful Georgian architecture, and a lot of homes that were built in the 1990s that need, a breath of fresh air breathed into them.
Yep.
The cool thing is, you have this beautiful exterior of your house. I'm not saying it wouldn't need anything done, but buying a house here in New Albany, then you can just redo the inside, and that brick is so timeless exterior wise. So I think, it's such a great way to revive, an investment.
It is.
Get a designer in there, do it right. And I assume, do you guys work with any architects, or anything like, if, for example, it's a full renovation and you're maybe going to knock down a wall or something like that, you can kind of synergize on that.
Absolutely. We work with architects in the area. We've got some great contractors. And we've got our list of great painters, wallpapers, all the things that we bring with any project if needed, which helps because there's so many out there. So having some recommendations is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. General contractor.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's perfect. Well, Ashley, if you want to tell people where they can find you online and how to reach out to you.
Yeah. So our website is www.surroundindesign. SURROUNDIN design.com. We also have Instagram. And we're here at 122 East Main Street, right towards, on your way to 161. So pop in and see us. We're here Wednesday. Right now, the showroom's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 4. But we're looking to expand as we're just kind of dabbling in it. But yeah, come pop by
cool.
and say hi and check us out.
Yeah. Well, even if you want to come and get inspired, I
Yes.
think, and maybe that just catapults you into a project.
Definitely.
So, I mean, we all get overwhelmed, I think, sometimes when we go into some of these stores. And so maybe come here and help refine your vision and have Ashley and her team come on board and help you out to recreate your space and go from there.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much again, Ashley.
You,
I appreciate it.
It was great.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, I'm Carrie Short with New Albany Realty. You can reach me at carries@newalbanyrealty.com. Thank you.